Alright, and welcome to another Servium episode. I'm your host, David Gilbert, and today I would like to talk to you about the fruits of the Holy Spirit, and I also want to challenge you to reflect on what kind of fruits you are producing. You know, a good way to know about a person is the fruits that they produce. You know, from their fruits, it can tell a lot about the person. You know, as Christ says, by their fruits you shall know them. You know, we all put up barriers or put forth a projection of how we want to be viewed. I mean, just look at Facebook. However, one thing that doesn't fool anyone is the fruits that a person bears. You know, we just celebrated Pentecost a week ago, and I think it's important for us to focus on the fruits of the Holy Spirit. And if those fruits that we produce are not of the Holy Spirit, then what spirit does it come from? You know, the Catechism states, the fruits of the Holy Spirit are perfections that the Holy Spirit forms in us as the first fruits of eternal glory. The tradition of the Church lists 12 of them: charity, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, generosity, gentleness, faithfulness, modesty, self-control, and chastity. And I think it's important to reflect on these fruits and know what they are. So charity, you know, some say love, but I think charity is, it better grasps the Greek word for love, and in this case, it's the word agape. And you know, more traditional church documents actually use the word charity, which better describes the English term for agape love. And it is so charity is the theological virtue by which we love God above all things for His own sake and our neighbor as ourselves for the love of God. Now joy and happiness are two different things, and people sometimes confuse them as the same thing, and it's not. Joy is much deeper than happiness. And so the Catechism explains that the nature of joy and happiness, as true happiness, is not found in riches or well-being, in human fame or power, or any human achievement, or indeed any creature, but in God alone, the source of every good and of all love. And in other words, temporal happiness is not enough to satisfy us. We long for the joy of the Lord, recognizing that God is our Creator and that we rely totally on Him as a source of wisdom and freedom, of joy and confidence. And that was all from different sections of the Catechism there. And for peace, peace is the goal of Christian living, as indicated by Jesus, who said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God." The fifth commandment requires us to preserve and work for peace, which was defined by St. Augustine as the tranquility of order, and which the work of justice and the effect of charity. And that's also from the Catechism. And that also goes for, you know, peace in our home. Do we have peace in our home? Do we try to be those peacemakers? Do we try to instill justice? Or are we a little too merciful? Or are we a little too hard and heavy-handed at home? The next fruit is patience. Now, patience, which is the most frequent form under which fortitude of the soul is exercised in the displeasures and annoyances of life. By patience, the soul truly possesses itself above the negative and displeasing encounters in life, and in so doing becomes masters of itself and free and detached. The greatest example for the virtue of patience are the martyrs. They had the fortitude of the soul to accept patience of their faith. Now, kindness is the quality of understanding, sympathy, and concern for those in trouble or in need. It is shown in warmness of speech, generosity of conduct, and forgiveness of wrongdoings and injuries sustained. And believe me, meeting even just complete strangers on public transit, on the subway, you know, we need more kindness. The next fruit is goodness. You know, goodness is holiness put into practice as a result from knowing God. Once you have this knowledge, goodness is supernaturally produced in you and bears fruit if our free will leads us to God's will. And generosity and gratitude go hand in hand. So generosity inspires gratitude, and gratitude inspires generosity. God is generous to us, and our generosity gives proof of our gratitude towards God. As St. Paul tells us in 2 Corinthians 9:11. The highest gift we can give to someone is the gift of ourselves, which today is increasingly becoming more difficult with our modern lives and technology. But giving ourselves to another exemplifies the virtue of generosity. With our time, our energy, our focus. And the perfect example of generosity is actually God the Creator. Because by His generosity, He created man in His image. For us Christians also, God's gift of Himself through Christ's passion and the Eucharist, which is Christ's body for us to consume, to eat, represents the ultimate form of generosity and serves as a model for all human generosity. And the next fruit of the Holy Spirit is gentleness. Gentleness, commonly known as meekness. Now, meekness is not to be confused with weakness. It's not. Meekness is of power and strength under control. The person who possesses this quality pardons injuries, corrects faults, and rules his own spirit well. So don't confuse gentleness with meekness. Now, faithfulness is trust in our God and our loyalty and steadfastness with others. And modesty is the virtue that moderates all in the internal and external movements and appearance of a person according to his or her endowments, possessions, and station in life. Self-control. So self-control is the act, power, or habit of having one's desires under the control of the will, enlightened by right reason and faith. Now this is very important, and my buddies at Veracast, Tim and Wilson, do an excellent job of talking about being enlightened by right reason and faith. It's all about being balanced. And the problem today, especially in our culture, is that self-control, the control of the will. We're looking for instant gratification, pleasure, and we need more self-control in what we eat, what we purchase, but also, too, what we consume in our eyes and our ears through television, movies, and media. And last but not least is chastity. Chastity is the moral virtue which, under the cardinal virtue of temperance, provides for the successful integration of sexuality within the person, leading to the inner unity of body and spiritual being. So with chastity, we must be very careful not just of how we act, but also, what we do as a person. It's an integration of the inner unity and the body together. Now, I was going to close with something inspiring about the power of the Holy Spirit, but I came across something that, in the Catechism, and the Catechism just says it best. So I'm going to close with this, and it says, "By this power of the Spirit, God's children can bear much fruit. He who has grafted us onto the true vine will make us bear the fruit of the Spirit: charity, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. We live by the Spirit. The more we renounce ourselves, the more we walk by the Spirit. Through the Holy Spirit, we are restored to paradise, led back to the kingdom of heaven, and adopted as children, given the confidence to call God Father, and to share Christ's grace, called children of light, and given a share in eternal glory." Wow. Wow. So, go forth and bear much fruit. Now, good fruit. Anyways, that's all for today. Please pray for me. I'll be praying for you. And remember, prepare yourself spiritually, be bold, trust in the Lord, and take action. God bless you all. Bye-bye.